Episode 2, The Library That Saved a Life. The story of Amara, vertical bar, Accra, Ghana, Seoul, South Korea. She arrived in Seoul, South Korea, with a nursing qualification from Ghana. No Korean language, no connections, and a suitcase that was too heavy for her to lift without help. Her first employer paid her the minimum. Her colleagues assumed she'd last 3 months. In the first week, she found the public library. That decision, that one small, free, unglamorous decision, changed every decade that followed. Welcome to Living Your Best Life. I'm your host, Sade Adegoke, and today's story travels from the heart of Accra to the high-rise corridors of Seoul. This is an episode about learning, not the formal kind, not the certificates and credentials and institutional stamps of approval, but the kind of learning that Jim Rohn called the most powerful investment a human being can make, the deliberate, daily, hungry education of yourself. Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Today's story is proof. This is the story of Amara. The Jim Rohn framework, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Miss a meal if you have to, but don't miss a book. The book you don't read won't help. Jim Rohn principle, working harder on yourself than on your job. The discipline of personal development as a daily practice, not a motivational weekend. Part 1. The Crossing Amara was 29 years old when she accepted a care worker position in Seoul through a South Korean government international labor agreement. She had been a nurse in Ghana for 5 years, competent, respected, quietly excellent. But the salary was not enough. Nothing was ever quite enough. She left a husband, a mother, 2 sisters, and a city she loved for a country where she could not read a single sign. The first months in Seoul were a study in humility. She was capable of things her employers did not know about because she could not yet explain them in the right language. She was treated as a beginner in a field where she was quietly an expert. She did not complain, she observed. Jim Rohn said, stand guard at the door of your mind. Amara, without having heard the phrase yet, was already living it. She refused to let humiliation become her story. She made it her curriculum. Part 2. The Library. The Mapo Central Library in Seoul is a striking building, all glass and angles, overlooking a river. Amara found it on her second week in the city, entirely by accident, while trying to find a pharmacy. She went in because it was warm. She stayed because of the English section. It was not large, 2 shelves, maybe 100 books. But they were there, real books, available for free. She borrowed 3 that first day. She made a decision. Every day off, she would be in that library. Every hour before her shift started, she would read. Every break she could take, she would be learning something. Not Korean first, though that came later. First, business, finance, management, leadership. The language of the world she wanted to enter. She found Jim Rohn in translation, a dog-eared Korean edition of Leading an Inspired Life in the Foreign Interest section, placed there by a previous reader who'd left a note in the margin. This changed me. Amara read it in 3 days, then she ordered the English original online. Part 3. The education nobody gave her over. The next 2 years, Amara did what Jim Rohn described as working harder on yourself than on your job. She learned Korean not from a class, but from conversation, from her patients, from the library's language tapes, from relentless embarrassing practice. She studied healthcare management textbooks from Korea, the UK, and the US cross-referencing systems, understanding how hospitals were run, understanding what senior managers actually looked for in leaders. She took a free online certificate in healthcare quality management, then another, then a paid one, 3 months of savings for an online qualification from a UK university. Her colleagues noticed the Korean improving before they noticed anything else. Then they noticed she was asking different kinds of questions, not what should I do, but why do we do it this way? And what happens if we try it differently? Jim Rohn taught that the greatest benefit of reading is not the information itself, but the person you become in the process of absorbing it. Amara was becoming someone the library had helped design. In her third year in Seoul, Amara's ward supervisor retired. The hospital advertised internally for the role. The other candidates were Korean nationals. All of them had been there longer. Two had formal management qualifications from Korean universities. Amara applied. She was the only foreign applicant. The interview panel asked her why she thought she was ready. She spoke for 8 minutes. She cited 3 management frameworks. She referenced outcomes data from their own ward. She proposed 2 process changes she'd already piloted informally with her patients' cooperation. The panel was quiet when she finished. Then the senior panel member said, in Korean, to his colleague, "Where did she learn all this?" His colleague looked at Amara. Amara, who by now understood Korean well, looked back and smiled. The library gave me what no employer was going to give me, the education to be worth more than they were paying me. She got the job. She was the first non-Korean national to hold a ward supervisor position in that hospital's 63-year history. Within 2 years, her ward had the highest patient satisfaction scores in the facility. She had implemented a cross-cultural communication protocol that was subsequently adopted by 2 other hospitals in the city. She was asked to present at a healthcare conference. She presented in Korean. She flew her mother to Seoul for the conference. Her mother sat in the front row of a hotel conference room and watched her daughter speak in a language she'd learnt in a library she'd entered because she was cold to 200 healthcare professionals. Her mother cried the whole time and understood none of it, and said afterward it was the best thing she had ever seen. Amara today holds a senior management position in one of Seoul's largest hospital groups. She is a published contributor to healthcare management journals. She mentors newly arrived international healthcare workers. She still has a library card. She told me Jim Rohn said that success is not something you pursue, it is something you attract by the person you become. The library was where I went to become that person. No one assigned me the reading. No one checked my progress. It was entirely my choice. And that, I think, is exactly the point. Jim Rohn's philosophy of self-education rests on something deceptively simple, that the information is available to anyone. The books exist. The libraries are open. The knowledge is not locked behind wealth or connections or privilege. What is rare is the person who truly decides to go and get it every day, without being asked, without being measured, without a grade at the end. Amara made that decision in a cold library in Seoul with a borrowed book. The compound interest on that decision bought her a career, a platform, and a mother in the front row. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Your company can fire you. Your skills cannot. Jim Rohn, share this episode. Follow at LivingYourBestLife_LYBL on YouTube, IG and TikTok and Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't been in a library recently, go. Take your phone. Take notes. Jim Rohn took notes on everything. Living your best life, real wisdom, real stories, real transformation. Amara, they're lucky to have you in Seoul.